So, welcome back to the Soul Confetti podcast. And my guest today is Meagan Clements. And Meagan is a teacher, an author, and she's very passionate about helping people work through things that have happened to them in their life. She has children's books, and she has her latest book is about the scars on our bodies and how we can work through them. My Scar, My Friend. And I am going to give the floor to Meagan and just let her introduce herself and tell us a little more about her passion and how she came to be who she is today. So, welcome, Meagan. So glad to have you here today.
I'm so happy to be here. So
So, I'm just going to give you the
you
floor.
first. Oh, so yeah, I'm a credentialed school teacher. I'm actually no longer working in the classroom, but I still keep my credential current, and I use it now, sort of more in I lesson plan for a lot of my children's books, create study guides, activities, coloring pages, worksheets. So I have a lot of educational material for homeschool moms, parents, school teachers, all free to download on my website. And then I do self-help, spiritual poetry books, that type of thing. And common thread running throughout all of my books, whether it's, my family of houseflies with human-like characteristics, just, insect fun, humorous characters, bugs, or whether it's my more serious topics on like surgical scars and, overcoming like, body, bodily, functions, whether it's like, IBS or, overactive bladder, or whether it's, overcoming, insecurities in your body, like with your scars or, weight or whatever it might be. There's always that common thread of you're beautiful, no matter who you are and what your story is. But I try to steer clear of the common thread that I've noticed running throughout the body positivity movement on social media, which is just love, just accept. These stretch marks are gorgeous, and you never have to work on yourself. You can stop right where you are. I think that we are a work in progress, and I think it's
Absolutely.
okay to come out and say, I hate this scar. I don't like this stretch mark. I'm not happy with this, acid reflux that I'm struggling with, this heartburn, this whatever, whether it be IBS or irritable, bladder, bowel, whatever it might be, internally going on. I don't like it. I'm not okay with it. And I think there's kind of a common thread on social media of people performing vulnerability and acting like they're just 100% confident all the time. And I'm living proof that, um, I could now, I don't want to call out any names of people, but there's a couple that I've seen that will, put on a bikini or something after they've just, given birth to a new baby, and their body maybe is still changing and stuff. And they'll have a professional photographer, and they're on the beach or on the sand or something, and they're in the most vulnerable, most exposed position. It kind of looks like they're purposely in that position to
Uh-huh.
accentuate or make their stretch marks or make their, mom body a little bit more visible. They're maybe bending over or, reaching for something on the beach, and it kind of looks like they're trying to exaggerate that flaw. And the captions are just insane how they can try to encourage everybody else to just love and just accept. And sometimes you just want to like scream back. And I don't usually call this, I'm just the quiet. I see them and I just quietly do, and I don't say anything. But I'm just going, where are the people out there that are just saying, excuse me if we're allowed to cuss, but like, F you, like I don't feel good today. Like I feel like crap today. I don't
Right.
like what I look like. I'm not happy with this scar. I'm not happy with whatever, like GERD or acid reflux or IBS or irritable, whatever. I'm not happy. Like, it's okay to have a mix of them. Like, love yourself while you're in the process of changing and still trying to better yourself.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, you love yourself. If you love yourself, you are self-aware enough to know where you need work. It's not
Yeah,
like just all acceptance no matter what those flaws are, because you can't love yourself
exactly.
and be okay with being an angry, miserable, shameful person all your life, because that's detrimental to who you are.
And I think there's also like a thread. I've seen it from a couple of influencers on social media where there's almost sort of in my opinion, it's a little bit of an anger undertone in their posts of I would be caught dead having skin removal surgery or a tummy tuck or laser treatments on whatever the flaw is, because that sort of means you don't love yourself. And I'm just going to come out and say that my dermatologist, who performed a surgical excision to remove a severely atypical mole on my
Yeah.
abdomen, he recommended doing laser treatments and steroid injections. Not just for the appearance of it, but also for the comfort level, because scars and scar tissue can cause some restriction in movement and some discomfort. And I did multiple sessions with him, and I don't think that means that I don't love my body and accept my body
Right.
because I'm going through these treatments. I still have days, even after 4 or 5 treatments, where I still don't love the way it looks. But it doesn't make me a failure because you lose weight or because you have laser treatments or like,
Yeah, I mean, well, it's taking care of your body.
yeah, and I think
Because
that's
I mean,
okay.
you can be extremely overweight and morbidly obese and you're not healthy. So when you reframe it as if you love yourself and you love your body, you're going to take care of it and you're going to put good stuff
Yeah,
in it and you're going to, do all the right things that make you healthy. Because
yeah,
that covers a gamut of a lot of things. How you feel,
yeah,
how you look, how you carry yourself, your confidence level. Yeah. You can't have that. What is the term I've heard recently? It's the almost suicidal empathy. It's
yeah,
kind of what it feels like, right?
exactly. But you can still show up. This is the first time that I've ever publicly put this out here, because I
Mhm.
don't talk about it on my social media. But 2 days ago was the first day that I started a journey of laser hair removal, for a few particular spots on my face.
Uh-huh.
Um, and today was a day of, you know, it still doesn't feel perfectly smooth. There's still a few areas where I was told, we're not tweezing the hairs. We can only shave. We can't tweeze or else the laser will be ineffective. And so there's sort of an acceptance of, you get dressed in the morning and you put on a little bit of makeup and fix your hair. And you're still feeling, when you're putting your lotion on in the morning, you're still feeling some textures and some places that don't feel smooth, because you're only 2 days out from this treatment and there might be 10 treatments, of treating a few areas that have some darker hairs. I wrote a book on OCD. I also struggle with OCD. So, I tend to fixate on those things maybe a little more.
Mhm.
But today was a day of, I'm showing up, I'm here on the podcast, but did I wake up and have complete confidence to want to just like take a close-up shot? Like, this is what my chin looks like 2 days after laser hair. I didn't really want to post that on the internet. I just wanted to show up and be here, but at least admit that it was a little bit of a struggle putting makeup on and trying to feel beautiful, knowing that things don't look perfect underneath your makeup yet.
Yeah.
You're a work in progress. So that's kind of the
Yeah.
perspective that I try to take when I'm writing my books. I take that thread and kind of weave it throughout my books, children's or adult or whatever it might be.
Yeah. And we are always a work in progress, whether
Yeah.
it's mentally, physically, emotionally, physically, or spiritually, or any other way. We are always a work in progress. And knowing that is where that self-love comes in. knowing that
Yeah,
there's always these things that we can improve on and always these things that we can be just a little more aware of and how we carry ourselves or how we present ourselves.
exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your book, My Scar, My Friend. Where did this idea come from? Is it a scar that you have that you wanted to?
It's 100% true. I always
Yeah.
say in my author bio at the back of every book, I always say, um, Meagan F. Clements, most of her stories are based on real life people, events, and experiences.
Mhm.
And I talk about my dermatologist, Dr. Chapman, at Pacific Dermatology Specialist here in my hometown of Seal Beach, California.
Mhm.
And I talk about my excision scar and basically book one, My Scar, My Friend, and its follow up, which just came out, My Scar, My Friend, Living with What Remains, detail the journey of my surgical excision, which is a severely atypical or precancerous mole that I had on my abdomen. And
Uh-huh.
I do broaden the topic a little bit more to include piercing scars, which I also have because I have a fair amount of like ear piercings and I have, scars from like a past navel piercing that I retired. So I include that as well. And then I broaden it to include, people that might have been a tattoo client and had something go wrong and they've got some scarring from that. Maybe it's self-harm scars, maybe it's an emergency appendectomy, a hysterectomy scar. So I want the message to be broad, but there are a lot of photographs and personal stories of scars that I've had. I have a couple of pictures of acne scars from breakouts on my face, and I talk a little bit about my struggle with like um, bodily focused repetitive behaviors, skin picking, hair pulling, plucking, that are kind of attached to my struggles with OCD. And I kind of weave that into the book, but a large chunk of the book focuses on, my surgical excision on my stomach and just coping day to day. It was kind of, as all of my self-help books are, they're not written like chapters. They're written
Uh-huh.
like a little paragraph tip per page, and each tip is written in the order that I think of it in my head. So, what's cool about that is I don't group the tips like, here's the tips that have to deal with this part of acceptance. Here's the tips that have to deal with more the healing aspect. I literally will think one day of a tip about, what to do when you're healing the scar, and the next day it'll be a tip for what to do when you're feeling really shitty about the way that it looks. And so the tips kind of read like they're in a jumbled up order, but that's the way I think most humans' brains think, is one day you're thinking,
Right.
what can I do to get the maximum benefit? Um, what sunblock do I need to use to protect the scar so it doesn't get worse? What what scar cream can I use to help it the most? And then the next day you're worried about some other aspect of scar healing or whatever. So the mind doesn't think in order. So my tips
True.
really aren't in order. So that's the way. And there's a couple of sections towards the end of the book where I do like a reflection that might be a few pages, 2 or 3 pages long. But most of it is tips that you can just flip through the pages of books 1 and 2 and just read them out of order. You could pull randomly, open it up. It's tip 16 and just read that one. They don't need to be read from page one. And you can read the books out of order. I mean, ideally, book one would be, you have an appointment coming up to get a mole removed that's going to leave a little scar, or you've got a Mohs surgery to remove some skin cancer, and you might read it to get some tips on, pre-procedure anxiety or what to do right when the stitches are fresh. But you could absolutely read them out of order and pick up book two first. Book two kind of focuses a little bit on when the scars start to fade, but then there's elements of book two that focus on, hey, my fourth and final laser treatment that I had on my scar, it got red again and it looked like, okay, it was almost white and now it's getting red again, so it looks like we're taking a step backward. So you could totally read the books out of order. And I do that in my children's books too, outside of my self-help series. If I like to do series, so if I have like chapter books and
Mhm.
there's like 3 or 4 in this series, I always give backstory on the previous books, in
That
each
makes
book
sense.
so that people can just pick one up and just read it out of order. I never want to feel like you have to start from book one.
Yeah, I love that. I love that how you can make them coherent, but also independently.
Yeah,
And it sounds like your tips are that way too. Like you can read all of them and like just absorb it all. Or if today you're just feeling kind of like, I just need something, you can just flip to
yeah.
a page, random page, and you're like, that's exactly what I needed to hear. Yeah,
And
that is
especially
so
because we live
beneficial.
in a society where I think less people read
Yes,
nowadays. So I try to make things more accessible for people that aren't readers. What if you only have the energy to just read a few sentences, you know? Um,
true, true. No, I love that because people carry stuff with them that we don't know. And whether it's a scar you can see or a scar that you can't see, this scars all heal in different ways and different stages.
yeah.
Yeah. I love your idea, my scar, my friend, and how you can, you know, can you like I guess you like self-love your scar, right? Until you make it
But
to you.
the title's a funny title because it isn't until the very like last, I think it's one of the last few pages in book two, Living with What Remains, where I actually have a line where I say, the title, My Scar, My Friend, was finally true. It really was my friend. And I think in the beginning, the title was, it was ironic because the scar wasn't my friend. And I think the
Ah.
title in book one um, is ironic. And I have a line, it's within tip somewhere within tip one, which is a fairly lengthy paragraph long tip. I think it moved on to the second page. I have these little borders, cute little framed borders, and the tips kind of
Hmm.
fit in the little framed borders. And I think tip one was long enough that it just scooted over onto the next page. But I have a total like panic attack moment. And I'm just like, 12, I think it was like 12:11 or 12:14 a.m. in the morning, and I'm just screaming and crying, and I'm just having a total meltdown about the way this scar looks. And then my words on the page are, my scar wasn't my friend, and I wasn't this. And so I kind of attack the title like, nope,
No, I love that. Yeah, because it does perfectly describe your journey, right?
yeah,
And those scars always tell a story about us eventually when we're ready to tell those
yeah.
stories. And especially the healing side of it. So how do you relate, and if this is not like your cup of tea, that's perfectly fine. How do you relate the physical scars to maybe some emotional scars or mental scars that you carry from earlier in your life?
You know, I actually try to weave that into book one and two as well.
Hmm.
I try to weave in, um, even if a large part of the book focuses more on like surgical scars or physical scars, but I do try to weave in to make my books inclusive for everybody that, you know, you matter and you're important, even if it's a scar from a relationship struggle, or you had a partner that was unfaithful, or um, you maybe took a lot longer to have the courage to remove yourself from a situation that was not healthy, whether it's a job or a work
Hmm.
relationship. And so I try to touch very briefly in that book on the fact that emotional scars are just as important and that they matter too, and that sometimes we have to give ourselves credit for having the courage to. There's the first thing that comes to mind is the band Hanson, the three brother
Uh-huh.
band Hanson.
Yes.
They released a documentary a while back called Strong Enough to Break, and it detailed their struggles with their record label. And it eventually, the culmination of the documentary is them deciding to leave their label and form their own independent label. And the title, Strong Enough to Break, essentially means strong enough to break free or break free from something that isn't working for you. So I try to touch in my books on the fact that emotional scars are just as important because it's sort of being strong enough to sometimes break free from emotional baggage and stuff, and freeing your soul. So I relate to that stuff too, because I lost my dad in 21 due to kidney cancer. So I have um, I have scars, emotional scars from things that I saw. Um, the times when I saw, like, 8 paramedics and firefighters in my living room when we had to call 911 because he was having trouble breathing. So I have those like PTSD scars from noticing things that were scary, and scars that led to a little bit of health anxiety later on, where if I get an episode of like acid reflux or a heartburn, your brain starts thinking this is not heartburn, it's something more serious. Look at what your dad went through. So I try to
Right.
touch in my scar book, My Scar, My Friend, and Living with What Remains, that scars are scars, self-harm scars, surgical scars, emotional scars. Um, they're all one and the same.
Yes.
And you're
Yes.
not you're not different. You still matter, but it's okay to use those words. I'm struggling. I'm having a little bit of PTSD. Um, I had the courage to leave this relationship or this partner or this work situation. I have probably some scars from leaving the teaching profession. I was strong enough to leave a profession that I didn't feel I was best suited for, but that doesn't mean that I don't still have memories of the good times that I shared in the classroom. And so, yeah, so I think there's a lot of mixed emotions. That's why I don't connect with some of what the body positivity community promotes online, is I'm not seeing enough of those mixed emotions. I'm not
Right.
seeing enough of the everyday, the way the brain loops. And maybe it's the fact that I have OCD and that my brain loops constantly, but I want to see more of the loop. I don't want to see the constant, positivity. I want to see the loop of, you know, when you lose a loved one and 2 years down the line you're having heartburn and you're thinking, I must be having a heart attack. Remember what my dad went through. I want to see that loop of, you know, I saw a picture online of somebody, posting their kids going back to school, or a teacher decorating her classroom, and all of a sudden it brought me right back to when I was a teacher, and I
Right.
start feeling bad. Um, even though I was strong enough to leave something that maybe I didn't want to continue doing any longer. So
Right.
I try to weave
Well, two
that stuff in as
thoughts.
well.
Yeah. Two thoughts for me is thinking about the body positive stuff is sometimes it feels like the outward performance of the body positive is more about armor, like armoring up, because
Yes.
you can't insult me because I'm already armored up and I'm body positive regardless. So you can't throw anything at me that's going to hurt me because, this is my armor I put on.
Well, I
That's
think
how I feel like it can be.
if we're already hurting inside, I don't see the need for the armor, because it's like if we're already hurting inside, I don't think any amount of armor, because I see people on the body positivity community on social media that there's sort of, it's more of the adjective would be more of a smug look on their face, or
Right.
sort of a um yeah, like a smug look on their face, where it's kind of like you said, it's try and see if you can get me, you can't get me. But it's like, if we're already feeling insecure, like if I'm already feeling insecure about my surgical excision scar, and it's maybe like a beach day or something, even if I've got a one-piece bathing suit on and I'm covering it up, if you're feeling insecure in your skin, there's no need for the armor, because when you walk out in public, it's kind of hard to hide what you're feeling and thinking inside. People are really good at reading vibes. And I
Right.
know for myself that, like, if you walk in a room, um, the perfect analogy is my mother always says to me in regards to like piercings, like she'll say, well, why do you want to get another piercing if your hair's always down or it's in sort of a hidden spot at the back of your ear or something and no one's really going to see it? And I say,
Mhm.
but I know it's there. And when I walk in a room, I'm going to feel good and confident knowing that it's there, even if my hair is down. And so it's like, if you have a scar or something that you're insecure about or something internally, whether it's, a relationship issue or it's like something physically internally, acid reflux, GERD, IBS, whatever it might be, you walk in a room, and even if nobody can see it on the surface, your confidence affects how you walk in the room, and people can
Right,
sense that there's just something you're maybe a little bit more meek and mild about. So the armor is kind of like you kind of know it's fake armor anyways. So
right,
why not
right,
just, if the rest of the world knows it's fake armor, just let it down and just be out. But there's a balance too. You don't need to be so honest that you're taking the most ridiculous close-up photos, like less than 24 hours after you had laser hair removal on your face. There's a balance. Like
right, right.
I put a little bit of makeup on this morning. There's not like okay, check this out. Here's all the black stubbles and here's the redness from the laser machine. And there's a little bit of a balance. You don't have to go to one extreme or the other. If we could just kind
Right.
of meet in the middle, that might
And I think
satisfy me
sometimes
more.
people go to those extremes because they think it protects them. Because they
Yeah.
they show it all because somebody's gonna make a comment about it, and they just figure they'll put it all out there, and then nobody can say anything that they didn't already think,
Yeah.
you know. Or they go so far the other way where they're completely covered physically, mentally, emotionally, and so they don't let anybody see anything. There's zero vulnerability.
Yes.
And you're right, there is that balance where you can be vulnerable and you can own all your scars. And you can say, hey, I worked through these and now I'm stronger because of them. I think that's the balance.
And I think also one thing that I try to do in especially in the My Scar, My Friend Living with What Remains book, is in
Hmm.
the pictures section. Instead of it being like the people on social media that post their full body in like a bikini or something, and they have these hyper motivational, you know, um, not comments, but hyper motivational captions,
Uh-huh.
um, all about how, just because you can't see it, it doesn't mean it's not there. And then they're folding their jean shorts down or something, and they're pressing on their belly and stuff, and they're scrunching up their stretch marks or whatever it might be. I think the difference is that in my books I document. So when I show a picture of my scar, you don't see the rest of my body. It's just
Right.
a close up of the scar. And the captions are very different. They're not hyper motivational. The captions are more like scar compression when sitting. And it's just a documentation of here's a close up of what the skin does when you're sitting down versus here's a close up of what the skin does when you're laying flat versus when the skin is wet. And I might show a close up of water droplets because you just got out of the shower. But it's not that the person that, is putting their hand over their nipples or their down their region or something, and that they're completely naked, they don't have anything on, and they're showing what it looks like when they just got out of the shower. No, mine's like a close up, and I crop everything out. You can't see anything but that one piece of skin with the inch and inch and a quarter scar and
Uh-huh.
the water on the skin or the sleep lines on the skin. I'm not showing the full body. I'm not giving hyper motivational posts. It's just scar compression when sitting. Here's what it looks like when it's laying down. Here is some mild skin flaking after the laser treatment, and it's just a close up. It's not. Yeah, I'm documenting only.
Yeah.
I'm not
There's
doing any
modesty
more.
around it.
Yeah, there's modesty, and it's just documentation. It's just this is just what it looked like on day 2. This
Hmm.
is just what it looked like 2 weeks in. You don't need the full body shot. You don't need the performative vulnerability. I'm just showing the day to day. Do with it what you want. It's just to help you so you can say, oh, mine does a similar thing. I guess that's normal for me in the healing process. It's normal that about at 1 month long, it's going to have kind of a rope-like texture. It's normal for it to have this sort of redness within 2 days after a laser treatment, or it's normal for bruising after steroid injections. It's just documentation.
And that's very helpful to people because we always say, "Am I normal? Am I
Yeah,
normal? Is my healing journey normal? Are my feelings normal?" And we're always trying to define normal. And that helps people to feel like they're not alone in their journey,
yeah,
right? Yeah. Yeah. So can we just skip over to your children's books, shifting gears a little bit?
absolutely.
I want to know more. I have grandkids, two grandsons. One is 3 and one is 6 months. And so I'm curious about your children's books, and because you do interweave so much educational information, it sounds like in your books. So where did you come up with the Fly family?
Oh, so I actually have a children's book. It was the first one that I ever published, children's poetry,
Uh-huh.
courtesy of my two main influences, Dr. Seuss and Shel Silverstein. So I have a children's poetry book called Bug Off, and at the very end of the poetry book, there is a poem, and it's one of my favorite poems I've ever written. And the poem is called Frederick Fly's Funeral.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know why the fly is named Frederick. And I don't know where that inspiration came from because there actually, at the time when I wrote it, was not a fly in the house buzzing around annoying me of any sort. Um, And I did not have a fly that was in the kitchen that landed on my food. And I was shoo, fly, shoo, get out of here. Where's the fly swatter? Just out of nowhere, I'm just sitting. It was a winter day. I had the fireplace lit and I was just sitting by the fireplace and I had the urge to write poetry. And an idea just snapped into my head, the fly's funeral. And I don't know where that title came from, like maybe spiritual or something, because I'm Christian author. And I just all of a sudden thought, well, the title sounds a little bit short. My favorite literary device in all of writing is I like alliteration or the repetition of consonant sounds. So I
Uh-huh.
wanted an F word, something like something flies funeral, and the word Frederick just popped into my head. And anyways, it's all about this brave fly that a bee, a bumblebee, was trying to steal a slice of cherry pie that was set out on a windowsill for his best friend. And the brave fly, Frederick, is, hey, that's not yours. That was my friend's slice of pie. And he jumps in to save his best friend from this bee who's trying to eat his slice of cherry pie, and he gets stung in the eye by a bee and passes away. And so this poem is all about this brave, heroic fly, and it's basically a eulogy poem, funny poem
Oh, I'm gonna
that's
have to
that's
read
told
this.
as a eulogy. And anyways, after the book came out, I decided that I liked that poem so much that I decided I don't think Frederick should be dead after all. I think I should bring him back to life. And I think I should have a wife and 3 children. And I think I should write a children's picture book series around these flies. And my biggest inspiration as far as like children's, like not poetry but like actual like picture books, is the Berenstain Bears by Stan and Jan Berenstain, now
Oh,
taken
yes.
over by Mike Berenstain. And so I wanted to create something. I have every book in the series. I read them nightly as a child growing up with my mother. I read them independent reading. I even had the Berenstain Bear chapter books, early reader chapter books. I wanted to create like the Bear family, the fly family. And I wanted anthropomorphic or flies with human-like characteristics, just like the anthropomorphic grizzly bears or grizzly bears with human-like characteristics. So it's a poem. It started as a poem, and I liked it so much I decided I don't think they should be dead. I'm the author. It's my creative brain. I'm going to bring them back to life, and I'm going to do the bear family, only the fly family. So they do everything the bears do, only instead of honey and um, last names like everything is like wood names like Mr. Griswold, or
Yeah.
they talk about I can't think all the furniture is made out of wood. The bears don't have shoes. I tried with the flies. Everything was like garbage and dirt and like eating poop, and like I tried to play off of like I don't even know anything about flies, but I just played off of like that stuff. But their house looks
Yeah, what
just
general people know about
yeah,
flies.
their house
Yeah.
looks just like the bears, the inside of the bear family's tree house. The inside of the fly's house is just this normal house, and they do normal things. And yeah, so I've got 8 picture books and 3 fly chapter books. The Berenstain Bears have their little early reader chapter books, so that's how that got started. And I have coloring pages. I have little vocabulary exercises that you can download for free, um, crossword puzzles, word searches, things of that nature. I have Fly Family stickers,
It's so
little round
cute.
stickers, and yeah, they're just an adorable. They're like a really cute, and I cannot answer this question without giving 10,000% credit to my amazing illustrator, Des Campbell, who
Uh-huh.
lives in England. He's specifically in Ironbridge, and he has this wild imagination, and he and I designed the flies from scratch. I would literally take pictures of a fly that landed on food that I was eating, and I would just zoom in on the fly and be like, I see this weird little thing that's coming out of, his mouth or head or eyes. And it's kind of this long stick thing. Do you see it? I would show him like a close-up photo, and I'd be like, I don't know what that is, but maybe we could like do some funny cartoon and. So anyways, he designed these flies that look like people. They have giant eyeballs. They've got some weird nose that sticks out, and it's just we just draft by draft, he would send me an email. What do you think of this fly? And I'd say, well, what if we put the eyes like on the side? And then he would play around, and he's just a really talented cartoonist, and
Yeah, sounds like it.
watercolor artwork, authentic
Oh,
watercolor.
wow.
And on some of the illustrations, you can even see stains on the paper from where the watercolor bled. And they're my babies, those books.
I love
Yeah, I had fun with those, and Des had fun illustrating them. He's retired now as a cartoonist, and he's more into photography, but his photography is just as beautiful. He's got the art gene.
Well, it's so nice that you can find somebody who can take your vision but by words, because that's your vision. You've
Yeah,
written, you've described, and put it into a picture form.
he and I not only have the same taste in music, like we like the same like rock bands and everything. So
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of like one of my fly characters, Franny Fly, she's heavily into like blues rock music, plays guitar, sings. There's a lot of parody band names, like instead of Aerosmith, Aerofly, instead of Poison, Poisonous.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and so
I want
instead
to
of the
read
black,
them just for me. I'll read
yes,
them to my grandsons, but I want to read them
instead of
too.
instead of like the black crows, it's the fussy finches, because the black crows, there was a lot of drama early on in the band. So I thought that band is kind of a fussy band, but I love them. So it was the fussy finches. So I had a lot of like funny band names, and Des, he likes the same bands as me. So he had so much fun cartooning these parody bands in my books. And the fussy finches, he would draw like the bird beak and stuff like that on the band members. I would give him like covers of like Rolling Stone magazine where the black crows were on there and say, can we recreate this cover and do like a fussy finches version of it? Um, and he's a kid at heart, like
Uh-huh.
me. he watches cartoons. I like to watch cartoons. So he and I have the same kind of sense of humor. So I didn't really have to give him too much direction for him to read a line and just be like, I watch cartoons. I know cartoons. I
I
get it.
get
And I watch
it.
cartoons too. So it was just a perfect pairing. And we're still friends to this day. We still every now and then send each other an email. Hey, friend, what are you doing? And he's like, hey, my American friend, you know?
I love that. And when you vibe with somebody that easy, it just makes everything just flow and easeful and yeah,
And
it
he's just
feels
a nice person.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you found somebody like that because working with somebody that makes it just easy.
Yeah.
And then you feel like oh it I don't know, like I wish I was an artist. I have a niece who's an artist and she's pretty fabulous, but she's busy and doing so many other things. Like we almost need to sit face to face and me describe
Yeah.
what we need. But she did the cover of my Soulshine and Sensual Soulshine, but I don't have them right here, but
Oh man,
she did the
I
cover of
wanted to
those
take a peek at
books.
those.
Yeah.
Oh, that's always nice.
Yeah, so she's pretty phenomenal, but just nailing her down and getting her to sit still long enough. That's a whole nother ball game. Yeah. So, well, what is your most proud accomplishment that you've written, or maybe it's not something you've written. What are you most proud of?
Right now, I'm most proud of MyScar, my friend, living with what remains. That is my most proud moment. Um, my dermatologist, I don't want to say he endorsed the book, but he sent me an email. He read book one, loved book one. Um, book two, he sent me a personal email after receiving a copy of it, and it
Uh,
was this genuine like I didn't ask him for a review, nothing. He just sent me a really heartfelt email and said how much he appreciated my vulnerability and how much he was going to share the book with his patients that were maybe struggling or in need. Um, at the end of reading his email, I felt like I had made it as an author. Um, because not just because he's a double board certified Mohs surgeon and dermatologist
uh-huh.
who is very highly ranked. You check out like his Yelp reviews or his Google reviews, and yeah, he's up there, you know, in terms of what his patients think of him. But I just felt in that moment, and then when I had um, my last laser treatment on my surgical excision scar on my abdomen, he not only said, hey, did you get my email and stuff, but he talked about it even more during the appointment. And my mom was in the appointment with me because I get very nervous for these laser treatments. You know, they're painful and stuff. And there was steroid injections that day. So I dragged my mom into the room with me. And she was in the room while he was going on and on about the book in person, in addition to the email he had already sent me. And it felt like more proud having my mom in the room hearing the things that he said because it was
Right.
like somebody of that high of caliber and someone that's gone to all that schooling liked my book and thought that my book was something. And I don't want to discount the fly books, and I don't want to discount I have other children's books, Maisie the Shy Mushroom, Holden the Hoarder, There's No Such Thing as Lazy. So I don't want to discount any of my other books because I'm proud of everything that I've written, but it felt particularly special hearing that I couldn't even get through medical school because I'm more creative brained and not
Right.
science
Right.
and math minded. And yet, somebody that is that science and math minded and stuff and technical actually really like felt that there was value in my stuff and read it cover to cover. And he's busy. Like, you know, he does cancer surgeries and stuff. And he does general dermatology as well, and he's the father of four children and stuff, you know,
Wow.
like he's got a busy load. And for him to like say I didn't want to put the book down, like as I was reading
Aw.
it, it was an easy read and stuff. And that's like my proudest moment. And in the moment I felt like I made it as an author, even though the book has never won an award. I've never, I haven't sold 10,000 copies of it. I'm not a millionaire. So that's, I
Right.
think, what success means to me is sometimes just an honest compliment from somebody that you respect. And he's a kind person too.
Uh-huh.
He's helped me a lot during my journey. I was very nervous and very anxious on the day of my surgical excision. I'd never had stitches before. It was the first time having like a big scar, or at least big to me. And so just having somebody that was so kind and so empathetic and nice to my mom, and somebody that could
Yeah.
thank my mom a few appointments in, like, thank you, Pat, for being there to support your daughter. I appreciate that. Um, he has a couple of copies of my children's books, including like the Fly Family, my children's poetry book, a couple of my historical fiction books for kids. But to think that someone that's kind and nice like that actually took the time to appreciate
Right.
what was personal to me at a time when I was struggling, it kind of made me feel like, well, maybe that panic attack I had at 12:11 a.m. where I completely just melted down about my scar, maybe it was for something. Maybe I did help somebody out.
Yeah. You probably infuse those feelings into your book too. And then that
I'm
makes it
sure I did.
relatable. Yeah. And you've made an impact on him and who knows how many other people in the future that you're going to
And
make
I
an
gave
impact
him
on.
I gave him an extra copy of my book, and I said, I put a little poster on there and said, if this in any way resonates with you, take this extra copy and just pass it on to someone in need. And he even told my mom and I at my last laser treatment, he had a patient that he said, I am so sorry. Thank you guys so much for waiting. I'm sorry for the long wait. I was thankful because the numbing cream had extra time to sit on my scar before the treatment, but he was like, I'm sorry. He's like, I had a Mohs surgery. It was supposed to take, X number of minutes and it ended up taking 90 minutes. And he was like, if this patient had waited any longer, it would have gone to the lymph nodes. She had like over 40 stitches. And he was saying that was surface level only. She had deeper ones too. And I remember him just looking at my mom and I and going, hey, maybe I should give her your scar book. Maybe that's someone that when I see her at the next appointment, I pass that copy on to. So he already had a couple in
Or
mind.
or he could sell them in his waiting room and let everybody else enjoy them too. Just a thought.
But for the time being, I didn't want it to be about numbers or sales or money. I wanted it
Oh
to
no,
be
I
more
get
of
it.
I think are you familiar with Caitlin Crosby of the Giving Keys?
I have heard of her,
She
yes. Yeah.
started off as a singer, and she still sings and stuff, but she's now the founder and the CEO of the Giving Keys project, which is she helps people transition out of homelessness by hiring people that are trying to get their life back on track to engrave special words like brave, hope, love, faith, let go on an antique key that would normally be a throwaway key,
Yeah.
to show that every key is different, every key is unique. No key is a throwaway, no person is a throwaway. And the message behind the Giving Keys is you keep your necklace with your word, like I think I had one that the word was let go. You
Uh-huh.
keep your word for as long as you need it, and when you feel you no longer need the word, you pass it on to somebody else and you give your necklace away. So I
I
framed it to
love
my
that idea.
dermatologist as this is like the Giving Keys, only I kind of explained her project and I said, this is the giving book. And
Uh-huh.
I framed it as Caitlin Crosby is one of my favorite female singers. And also, here's her Giving Keys project. I want mine to be the giving book, which is, here's a copy for you, here's an extra copy for somebody else. No money, no strings attached, no marketing. I'm not asking you to put
Yeah.
it in your waiting room, pass it on to someone who needs it. I don't need to know who that person is. I just need to know that somewhere in the universe, somebody is maybe feeling less alone because I feel like God put me on this planet to take things that I've struggled with and hopefully, since I have what I call a gift of words, be able to
Uh-huh.
put into words the things that other people can't articulate but are
Right.
feeling inside.
Right. I kind of have that same what I call my soul's purpose and it keeps being refined and narrowed down. But what I do, everything I do across the board, is to allow people to feel heard and seen and not feel alone in their journey, whatever that healing journey looks like. And that's part of why I have you on this podcast, is because you have that valuable insight and wisdom to share something that you've gone through to make somebody else not feel alone. And you're putting that out in the world. And that's just so beautiful.
And that's why I connected with the poem that I think was it the Angels
The angel's
Prayer?
prayer.
Yeah,
An angel's prayer, yes.
and just and Angel's Prayer. That's why I connected so much with that poem that you shared with me, as I felt like, oh, here's another Christian author. I
Yeah.
like surrounding myself. My web designer, Stephen, who's also a very good become a very good friend of mine lately. He's also a Christian author, and poet, and so I like surrounding myself with other fellow Christians and believers because I try to have my brand rooted in spirituality and faith, even for books that may be targeted toward just a secular audience. I
Uh-huh.
want there to be concepts that um, are universal to somebody that is a Christian, somebody that is maybe Buddhist, somebody that is Jewish. I want those universal values that the Christian faith talks about, love one another as you love yourself, do unto
Right.
others as you would have done unto you.
And the fact that we're all connected.
Yeah,
God, like in Psalms 104, God tells us He created everything on this earth to be connected to each other and be of use to each other. And that's
yeah,
that is my interpretation of it. And who is like, yes, yes, I love this. I love
that's
this
my
passage.
interpretation too.
Yeah, because we're all interconnected, and we're meant to help each other through life, whether it's what you eat, or your pets and the love they give you, or another human being who's been through something, to share their wisdom so we don't feel alone in this world. And because we are all just ultimately light and love, and we just have to excavate that and reach each other from that perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I think authors have a little, well, I would say musicians too, is there's a depth there that we are sharing that wisdom and that emotion. There's definitely that
yeah,
emotional piece that underlies every word we write, every note we play, and that
absolutely.
gets infused into that. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like I haven't really read a lot of your books, but I'm looking forward to getting the fly series for my grandson because he loves fireflies, so I'm sure he'll love flies.
I think I think there's a Firefly character in Fiona Fly in the Great American Bake Off. One of the judges for the baking competition that she enters is F Firefly. I don't know why I just gave him a first initial instead of a full name, but he was a persnickety fly, persnickety firefly, F Firefly.
No, that sounds a persnickety name. I love that. Yeah, so I feel like we align very much on that, just like infusing our wisdom and our hearts into our work.
Yeah,
And that's special. That is definitely special, and to be able to share that with the world. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, well, Megan, is there any other words of wisdom or insight that you want to share with our listeners today?
I was asked this question by someone on LinkedIn recently, and
Uh-huh.
it was something to the effect of like, if you could say, like in one sentence, and he was specifically, I think, talking about my new Scar book, but this could apply to other books as well. Like if you could sum up in one sentence, what is the ultimate like forget the word he used, like message, or what ultimately you want people to take from this book.
Uh-huh.
I forget I'm gonna probably butcher how he actually worded it. But my answer to the question was basically, I need to tell listeners, um, and this is my response to the body positivity community, that you have my permission to not feel good about yourself sometimes. You have my permission to have a shitty day. Like you
Hmm.
have my permission to not have to perform vulnerability. You have my permission not to put yourself on display in the way that a Christian might consider, like, you're purposely being immodest, but you have my
Right.
permission to have a rough day. You have my permission to say, I don't like the way I look today, or I'm not feeling good today. And it specifically relates to my scar book, but I just wanted to tell the body positivity community, stop performing vulnerability. And the message I want people to take from my books is, I give people permission. It's okay to grieve the loss of a loved one. It's okay to be anxious. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to walk into like a dermatology appointment, and just straight up like let the provider know, I'm like almost sick to my stomach. I feel so nervous. Like I might pass out. Like I'm just really struggling. It's okay to not have the perfectly manicured face, with the eyebrows done and the lips plumped, and then you put on a pair of jean shorts, and then you unbutton the jean shorts to show all your stretch marks, and then put the inspirational caption, just because it isn't there doesn't mean it's not true. Um, Society tells us that they want us to, you know, have babies but look like we've never had them, and they get in this bill, and after a while you just go, is there one person out there that can just flat out say, I'm having a crappy day today, and
Right.
I don't need to post myself on the internet to tell you, you don't need to know what I look like, but
Right.
I don't feel good about the way that I look like. It's okay. And to tell people, you can love yourself while you're in the process of changing. You can better yourself and work on improving yourself. You don't have to say, I hate myself and I stop there. We're a work in progress, but you
Right.
have my permission to not perform
Right. And
online
I
on
think that's
social
very
media.
important. I was listening to something yesterday and he was saying people are craving real and authentic. They don't even know
Yes.
it, but everything is so surface level and everything is so performative that and he take AI into consideration too. Everything is fake and surface level, and people
Yeah.
really were craving
Hmm.
real vulnerability, and we're craving
Yeah.
authenticity and just realness because you don't know what's real and what's not in this world today. So I think that's a very good thing to leave with people is that, if you're real, if you're human, if you're really putting yourself out there, then be real, be
Yeah.
vulnerable, tell it like it is. We're supposed to feel all of our feelings to work through them. So have those feelings. It's okay. Feelings are very valid. And how that makes you look on the inside and look on the outside, that's what people want. They want people
Yeah.
they can relate to and not people that they can be like, "Oh, I wish I was like that." But they're not like that. So you're holding them to a standard that's not even real.
Yeah. So that's my closing feedback, but it can apply across the board, not just to my book on scars, but
Yeah. Well, you have some amazing work that you're doing in this world, and I'm honored to have met you. I appreciate Jimmy introducing us, and he was like, you have to interview Megan on your account." So we are
Jimmy's great. I really like Jimmy.
Jimmy's amazing. So I am so honored to have met you and talked to you, and I look forward to reading more of your work and just getting to know you a little bit better through your work, and maybe a conversation will
Yeah,
be the spark movement, or
absolutely.
however we will connect again in the future. So yeah. Well, listeners, I hope you really enjoyed Megan's comments and hope you look for her books. We'll put some links in the show notes for you so you can click on those and have access to Megan. It's Megan, not Megan. I misspoke earlier.
It can be pronounced a variety of different, just like it can be spelled a variety of different ways. So I'm not picky.
So it's me, Megan Clements, and yeah, I'll put all her links down below. You can follow her on social media and find her website, and you can enjoy getting to know her also. And then, as always, go love yourself, and we will see you on the next Soul Confetti podcast.